Bizarre Brain Comics. Yeehaw! Woohoo! Ha! Ha! Ho! Howdy, partners! Ha! 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 Trigger Kid here for Bizarre Brain Comics. Ooh. And I'm here to tell you tales of the Wild West that never was. Oh, yeah. And as I said before, we got the National Western Stock Show going on here in Denver, which is a prime time to talk about some westerns. So the western we're going to talk about today is this one right here. This is Western Comics number 47 from DC Comics, 1954. This is real rough shape. The cover is completely off, and it was almost completely split. I had to tape the spine together just to so I'd have something to hang on to here. This is Western Comics starring Pow-Wow Smith in the storming of Fort Courage. And Western Comics, of course, is a Western comic book anthology, which ran from 1948 to 1961 for a total of 85 issues, featuring characters such as the Vigilante, Matt Savage, the Wyoming Kid, Pow-Wow Smith, and Nighthawk, among others over the years. And it featured the work of creators such as Howard Sherman, Howard Post, Mort Messick, Gardner Fox, Carmine Infantino, and Gil Kane, among others. Yeehaw! Really? Someone's trying to call me. But we're going to get and go take a look inside the pages here of Western Comics. My hat fell off. Ooh, yeah. Yeah, here we are. Western Comics starring Pow-Wow Smith in the storming of Fort Courage. And unfortunately, the center spread of this book, which I didn't discover until I was reading it here, is missing. So one of the stories is missing 2 pages. So we don't have all that, but it doesn't matter. We got Pow-Wow Smith, Indian lawman. He happens to be a Sioux Indian. Here's Buzzy. Work can be fun. It's a public service book. Story, page, whatever. Public service announcement. Okay. And this is penciled by Carmine Infantino. And here we have Pow-Wow Smith. He's on the reservation. See some of the native boys there playing a little baseball, and he sees that they're playing with a pretty ratty ball. He says, "Well, I'm going into town. I'll see if I can get you some." So he goes into town and finds out that at the general store there's only one baseball left, and they're going to have to. But he's got another shipment coming. So okay, this will have to do until some more come in. Then he's over at the sheriff's office, and they'd got this crook in jail, and said that's Gunboy Taylor, the bank robber. Said yeah, and he's one of the Ace Rankin gang, and and he was one who had just robbed a stagecoach, and they coerce him, get him to talk about how his boss and 3 other gangs, the leaders of 3 other gangs, are meeting up at the abandoned Fort Courage for a conference. They're going to join forces and to be one bigger gang and That way they can basically take over that territory. So the Pow-Wow and the Smith and the sheriff, they ride out by Fort Courage and say how we're going to sneak up on them. They can see anything from the turrets and stuff. So Pow-Wow Smith gets he gets a big floating log, part of a dead tree, and it's floating down the river. It's going by the fort, and he uses that as cover as he crosses over. Then using his lasso, climbs up one of the far side of the fort, the wall, and then once he's inside, he's spotted, and they're blasting away at him. He dashes for cover, gets inside one of the old storage rooms, and barricades himself in. But there's loopholes in there, and the bad guys come through with their rifles. Well, he's hiding right between those loopholes, but they can't get at him. I could think of a way, like reach in with a handgun, turn your hand, and start blasting away at him. But no, I didn't think of that. So, but he's there, but they got to coerce him to get out. They toss a handgun in there, so where they can get a bead on him if he goes for that gun, which he's got to do. Have a chance to get out. Well, he's got an idea. He still has that baseball. He throws it against the far wall. This is some pretty good shooting. Baseball throwing. So it hits the gun and keeps getting the gun closer and closer to him. And then finally he can get the gun without getting shot by them. They scatter because now he's a threat. And they're blam, 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 powing away, bloom. And he gets the gate open, and the sheriff and his posse can come on in. And they're all captured. But in the process, that baseball was just shot to pieces by those guys. So now he has to apologize to the boys. Said, "I'll get you. This baseball saved my life, but I'll get you some more when some come in." Then we get a Nighthawk story. Now, in more recent years, the Nighthawk character has been retconned into being one of the lives of reincarnation lives of Hawkman. So he's Nighthawk. He's a masked vigilante, and there's some stuff going on. Someone takes this. This is drawn by Gil Kane. You know, this is some early Gil Kane stuff, but you can already see some of the hints of his mastery, which he really grows to acquire years later. There's this little wooden carving of a stagecoach, and then this exact stagecoach that was modeled on is robbed. Nighthawk gets her. Not quite in time, but just he managed to get the saddlebags off of the one of the horses of one of the escaping robbers. And inside that saddlebag is that little carving of the stagecoach. And said, "Well, those are like the ones that old what's his name carves down at his little shop." And then they see, a certain kind of moth come flying out. Too bad we can't. That's a kind of moth that they can smell their mates miles away. Too bad we can't use that. So anyway, but then they go down to the old man and said, "Yeah, that's one that I carved, but it was stolen. I have a few other things that were stolen too, and it was a Western Express locomotive and a Pony Express rider." And so it just so happens that those were also robbed because they were being secretly used for gold shipment. So somebody who knows about stuff is getting stuff through. So what the heck? So so Nighthawk comes up with an idea, or is thinking about contacting the mining company. And here's the guy who works for the mining company. His name is I don't remember, in San Francisco. Ed Mortz, that's his name. And contacted the mining company in San Francisco. They had to be a little extra secretive, and then they come up with another idea, and the old guy is carving, doing a carving of the Fix-It wagon, which is the Fix-It wagon of Hannibal Hawks, who is the Nighthawk in his civilian identity, and then that turns out that wagon gets snatched. Hawks notices that in the window, and he's got another idea, and he's riding. He lets out what looks like a lightning bug. It's another one of those moths, but it's got fluorescent paint on it, or glow-in-the-dark paint on it. He's got several of them, and he starts following them, and he follows those moths. These are males looking for the female, and the female moth is right there with these crooks, and so they can smell them out, and he follows them, and they have a pigeon roost there, and he gets in, and he just corrals all those guys, all those robbers, and it turns out that he was. Of course, where they're at had the female moth, and he followed them to the female moth. They had pigeon roosts, and messages were being sent to them of the little packages, the little carvings tied to a pigeon, to tell the rest of the gang what they were supposed to rob. It seems to me it would have been easier to just write a note on the pigeon and put it on its leg, and it turns out. The guy who was behind it all was Ed Mortz, who already worked for the mining company. Oh, then we have Rodeo Rick. Never heard of him before. This is one's missing the first 2 pages. And as a guy who's a big game hunter. Oh, and he's turned to crime and using his big game hunting skills to do some robbery. And Rodeo Rick winds up flushing him out with a decoy, and then it's down to the two of them basically hunting each other, and of course Rodeo Rick is the one who gets him. And we've got a little text pages. What's in a Western name? Just talking about Western style names. Then it finishes up with the Wyoming Kid and Partners in Peril. This is a pretty decent one. I don't know who drew it, and he's the Wyoming Kid. He catches this fugitive, has to take him down, gets him in there. He was part of a gang who was robbing, who recently had robbed the stagecoach. They one of the robbers got away, and was looking. There was one witness. This guy was caught. He was a witness, identified by a witness. So we need the witness, and he's taken off. So Wyoming Kid's after the witness, and while he's riding, he comes across a stranger. They're both a little suspicious of one another, and says, "I need to get to this mining camp, this lumber camp. So, do you know the way through the way through this swamp to the lumber camp?" And go, "Sure, I'm going there myself." So meanwhile, they're bushwhacked. They get away, blasting away, but they're still suspicious of one another because they think could have led them into a trap. They get there and they're bushwhacked again. Finally, they're each convinced that the other guy's on the level, and turns out that the other guy is actually a special agent, Joe Dell. He is also the witness, and they work together and they take down this gang hiding out at this abandoned lumber camp. And good, clean, old-fashioned American Western fun. Because remember, 1954, this is when both Roy Rogers and the Lone Ranger were real popular on TV and Western movies, real big. And it's a lot of Western fun. So thank you for joining me. Please like, share, subscribe, leave your comments down below. Tell me how much you love or hate Westerns. What do you think of this old classic 1954 Western comic from DC Comics? All that stuff. And remember, comics are art.